I'm Timmy.
I'm Justin.
I'm Nathan.
This is 3 Old Tech Dudes.
Yeah,
Hey guys, how we doing?
Forward, not backwards.
That's right.
So
What you got?
you might notice this unique bag sitting on the table here.
How is that possible?
Whoa.
That's
So-
not possible. Radio Shack's gone.
Are you a
No,
time
they're
traveler?
not.
It's not?
They are not gone. I cannot sit straight in the chair. There we go.
I'd agree because that's not quite like the old bag.
Did you-
It's just close.
So you
It's
didn't
close.
get in a starship and do the loop around the sun
Nope.
thing?
No
Well,
DeLoreans involved?
No, I wish.
No flux capacitors.
So wish. No. No, and Radio Shack does still have a few stores left. This is actually, they actually stock the stuff off the website. Yeah, you walk into one, you're like, hey, it's more like from the early 90s, like really early 90s,
Oh,
maybe
wow.
late
Cool.
80s kind of stuff. They don't have
So
like,
it's not cell phone shack like it got in the late
Nope.
90s?
I didn't, they probably had some cell phones there. I did not honestly see
I bet
any.
they know it.
You know, they had, some accessories, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's just typical. But no.
Just pulled up their website, and all I see is they don't show cell phones at all like they used to. They show
That's
mobile
good.
accessories, so like
That's
you
like
just
the-
said. So,
That is the death of any electronic store.
So,
Yes.
well, yeah. So
where did you happen to run across a Radio Shack retail location?
in Gatlinburg, Tennessee,
Oh, wow.
there is
Smoky
a Radio
Mountains.
Shack. Oh, yeah. There is a Radio Shack, and we'll show a picture of it here, which you guys have seen.
Mm-hmm.
But, and
They haven't, though.
they have.
They
that's
have now?
but They have now. So. And so, needless to say, I went in there because it's Radio Shack, and I had to. So, yeah, considering they stock the stuff that's on the website, all the tools and batteries and lights and testing equipment and everything else.
And our viewers, you need to go to the website.
Yeah, if you have not seen it, you should. It
It's,
is actually nice.
Right on the front page, the Shack is back is one of their advertising scrolls, and
Yep.
it's for real. It's not. They kind of tried to rebirth about a decade ago. They had a really funny TV commercial with the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was like the store you don't.
80s went their
It's not.
sugar
Yeah, they went their
thing.
store and they were trying to reinvent. Well, that failed and they went
That was-
bankrupt again,
They
basically.
went the wrong direction.
And some other company has bought them as a parent, along with several other old brands, and they figured out what Radio Shack was when it
Yeah.
was popular, and they're trying to. It's not exactly the same, but they have all the soldering tools you might need. They have lots of tools, lots of components, and lots of other things that we're about to see.
So,
Random gadgets?
Yes.
So when I was down there, it's one of those you don't get to see a Radio Shack as a store exactly very often. So I
would've
went
went
in there and I was like, I'm going to find something fun to at least buy and play with.
Absolutely.
Nothing else that's not horribly expensive or something like that. And so. I kept the bag, so because it's like, how often do you find those? I just don't have. I think the receipt. No, I had to take the receipt out. So I left the receipt there for a while.
What is this little guy?
So this is actually fun. This is a little Radio Shack weather radio, but it's an AM/FM with weather radio added.
I see
Look
the
at
little
that, yeah.
the little R up here on the top for Radio Shack.
Branded Radio Shack has. Looks like their logo they've updated ever so slightly. It's a version of the one that appeared in the 90s.
Yep.
So, originally. So unlike the one on Nathan's shirt, which is from the 70s and 80s.
So this is it. This is the actual unit I bought. And I did take it out and make sure it actually worked. But other than that, I put it back in the radio, in the box rather. Take this thing out here. I did extra the receipt. I put the receipt in the box. I wouldn't lose it. There we go. So this is a radio that is just a standard old analog AM/FM radio with a weather radio and a few other little gadgets. So, and the book is here too.
Sure.
The nice thing is it's not complicated to figure out. Being relatively analog, it's straightforward and simple. So you have your regular AM/FM radio.
Sure.
You have your battery select, because it has a built-in lithium-ion battery.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Or it can take AAA batteries, and I bought AAA batteries.
oh, that's cool.
So it's got FM, AM, WX. And I don't know what that is.
Weather radio.
And then alert.
Yeah,
So
and
if
that's
you put it
weather
on
alert.
mode, it goes off an alert. We'll set it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, here's the neat thing.
Oh, look at
You can
that.
charge from solar.
Has a solar panel on the top. That's cool.
Yeah, or you can crank charge it. So when you charge it, watch this LED right there.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
look at
yeah.
that. There's a
You
glow
turn the
in
crank,
there.
you get your LED going there.
Yeah. So you can charge the thing, or you can run solar or put batteries in it. It's also got a light.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got USB out. So you can do USB in for charging, USB out.
That's slick.
So
So you can
that's
charge your
actually-
cell phones and the like. Yeah.
Yeah, so the nice thing is, if I put it on FM and we turn it on, I go to a station here that's probably not going to get us in trouble. Maybe.
Excited about God and things of God anymore?
Yeah, so
Yeah, very nice.
So that's that. I'm going to put AM. You can find AM. Keep in mind that we're inside a metal building with a small antenna.
In the middle of a rainstorm.
It's a little too early for the Friday Night Opry.
Is it?
I think so. I don't think you're going to get anything today. Oh, I was wrong.
So,
Found the local radio station, yeah.
yeah.
Issues with coercion and duress.
You're hearing a lot of digital noise from our stuff. So,
It's doing pretty darn well for the environment we're in with
Yeah.
all these digital electronics around us. So there's your weather radio.
the weather radio.
Nearby, a thunderstorm was reported with a temperature of
Your
70.
radio. Your
Yes.
on it too. So,
It's a very nice little utility radio.
yeah,
Something
that's
that's
just it.
somewhat harder to find nowadays, but
And
they've added a lot of features that you don't find in every
Yeah,
off-the-shelf
it's-
radio, the few that are still on the market today.
Exactly. And, of course, take batteries.
Yep.
Some batteries in it. But it's such a straightforward little emergency radio. It's simple. It can, you don't have to put batteries in the thing because it does have
Absolutely.
a built-in lithium-ion battery. And you can charge that battery from multiple ways.
Yeah.
Actually, from a little, like emergency weather radio, I don't know if you could really buy one any better than that right now.
And what's great, if there's not a Radio Shack in your area,
Yep. You can right online.
you can get them right on the internet. There's a link right
Boop
to
it up
them.
in your Googles.
And you can find that link below. And while you're there, look around at all the other stuff that's on there. I've not bought much from them yet. I did buy the shirt Nathan has. He purchased one as well about the same time. We had to play it ahead. I thought, I'm going to grab a Radio Shack shirt. I thought, there's a reasonable chance Nathan will be wearing the same shirt. They sent me a picture, sure enough, because they got here before me.
Yeah.
He was wearing it. I said, well,
And
I'll
it
find
does
some
come
other
with
shirt.
the USB charging cables.
Yeah,
also.
that's good stuff. But yeah, they have retro wear, which I appreciate. We probably talk about Radio Shack as much as we talk about anything on this channel, and I don't intend to stop.
Okay.
So
so here's a comical joke that we had going on. We have a 3-way text thing going.
sure.
And we're like, okay, so how much Radio Shack stuff do you have? And I'm like, I think yours is like, I probably have 5 or 6.
I probably have 5 or 6, yeah.
Justin's like, I had like 1 or 2 or something. I'm like 40.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Before that, though, we
Because
had
we're thinking we're going to do a video segment one of these days on we're literally going to go out of our way to try to find all of our Radio Shack branded items, whether it would be Optimus, Realistic, Microna, Archer, all the old brands I used to sell. And,
and I've
the
got-
Tandy TRS-80 stuff, and just take a quick video clip of all of them and just see how much we own amongst the three of us.
that would be
before we threw
that's a
our
long
numbers
video.
out, though. Tim and I had placed money on Nathan having
Yeah,
the
it
highest
was.
number.
That's an easy.
Yeah, it's like,
He loves his technology. That's why we started this
Yeah.
channel. It was his idea.
and, I mean, I-
Unlike us, he didn't disassemble half of his.
Wow, that's a problem. I did.
Well,
Some of mine's lost to time due to
did,
my own
unfortunately,
curiosity.
Yes.
So, no, I've lost an Atari or a 2600 to that.
I did too.
And, so I can give you some specs on that real quick.
All right.
So let me give you some basic things. Yeah, it receives AM, FM, and NOAA radio, which is the emergency alert stuff.
Yep.
It has an emergency alert, so you can select it over to emergency alert, and then it only comes on when it detects the tones for the alert. Again, it has a built-in lithium-ion battery.
Mm-hmm.
It can charge from multiple things: solar panel, hand crank, USB in. You can just run it straight off AAA batteries. It takes 3 of them, by the way.
Can you plug it into the wall?
Well, through if you have an adapter, yeah.
5-volt input, basically micro USB. It says.
Yep. So battery life should be 20 hours listening time with internal battery, or 60 hours with alkaline AAA batteries.
Right, get a little more beep out of those.
Cranks, right.
Yeah, and of course you could crank it and continue that more.
It's pretty good listening time for 3 AAA batteries, 60 hours.
It's not bad.
That's a couple days.
Yeah,
almost 3, I think. Yeah.
What's the crank time on a charge?
I did not find that, but I don't think it's terribly bad. My guess is probably about 10 minutes. The book is here. The book is actually extremely simple too. I mean, it's in like a couple languages, I think, but no, it's just in one.
Does this have a? Is that? Keep looking. I'm curious about something.
Pushing buttons.
When
Hand
it thinks
crank.
it has a tune indicator when it locks onto a signal, an LED. That's cool.
Yeah.
You talk about something you don't see much anymore.
So the hand crank gets you 200 milliamps at 120 RPM.
Okay.
120 RPM. Boy, you'd be out whirling.
About like that. Yeah.
So the solar panel gives you 50 milliamps. This is actually neat because they give you the actual current outputs. The solar panel gives you 50 milliamps of charge. Which I think that's actually on the site too, but that's pretty wild. You can do 1 amp output. We'll do 5 volt at 1 amp, so you can charge your phone. Wow. The input is micro USB 5 volts, so it probably is whatever.
We're turning it the right direction?
Yep.
Actually, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it may not.
It does not seem to. The light comes on both ways.
Yeah, because it's probably
just a magnet spinning in there.
Yeah, you just got a little generator.
Just sit here and do this for 10 minutes on end. Be an awful existence.
But if you're in the middle of the woods and need to charge your phone, you could do it.
The speaker is an 8 ohm half watt speaker.
Okay.
The dimensions are 5.9 inch by 3.1 inch by 1.5, or 15 by 8 by 4 centimeters. For those who don't have to live in the United States. And
sure.
Yeah, and like it's the book. Like I said, the book is really straightforward and simple. You shoot about 2 rotations per second. Well, that's 120 RPM. So, like, here's charging using the hand crank, charging using the solar panel, USB. I mean, it's actually really well thought out book. I will admit
And this is a good sign. This is more RadioShack feeling like RadioShack again.
Yeah, like they give you a lot of very interesting information.
And I think there was a void there because RadioShack went out of their way, it seemed like, to document their equipment, even if they were just reselling it with a rebranding.
Yeah, and I think this probably is a rebranding.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah, but it's one of those that they've done a really good job of like detailing the information.
It's got the RadioShack spirit.
Indeed.
Plus, the book actually does say RadioShack.com in it, so it is actually a written out manual.
RadioShack there.
But the one thing you can't do, if you eat this, it will give you cancer. Prop 65 says so.
Don't chew on his radio.
But in all honesty, if you go to Lowe's and look up a metal shovel, so does it.
Well,
I swear to God, it does. Look it up. That's got to be the most ridiculous thing ever. This can cause cancer. It's a Don't eat it. It's a radio.
Don't eat it and don't murder people with radios.
What about just the antenna? Can I use that like a
Don't do
toothpick
you.
kind of
Don't.
thing?
Wouldn't recommend it, but I want to see who.
When I was a kid, I think I broke every single antenna off of every little radio I ever had.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what's sad.
That
I was
was
just
rough.
not good at it.
Or did you ever have
the thing where you just broke this piece and then this would get stuck and you would have
That
to
happened to me a
get
few
tweezers or something?
Or
and-
you'd pull out half of it and half of it would still be there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have a little radio that my grandmother bought me. I've never put it on the channel. That I've thought about making it a project if I can find an appropriate antenna for it because it just needs a little cleanup. It's a portable sound design AM/FM radio I got when I was probably 7.
Kind of like that idea, or more?
No, it's more of it's just an AM/FM
like that
single
little thing.
speaker
Okay.
with a handle, just a little simple portable radio. So
So you can buy those antennas if they break.
Yeah, and this one should be able to be replaced. I just need to pull out the stub that's still there and see what because I used to, when I was a teenager, I still had that radio. I'd do things like hook alligator clips to it and a little wire, and it'd work.
I had
AM still works because it has a ferrite core antenna inside. So
I had one of the yellow Sony Beach waterproof thing. It was a single speaker AM FM. Yeah, Sport. Yes, that was it. Sony Sport. But yeah, it was a single speaker AM FM, and it had like a little glass or plastic cover that went over the controls. To make it
so you can throw it in the pool.
Yes.
Huh?
But anyway, back to the radio though. It's one of those I picked up that I thought it would be kind of interesting just to have, but the thing receives really well. Like we're picking up AM radio in a building that's basically a metal shell.
Yeah.
And it is working now. Mm-hmm. Okay, I do want to put a funny thing. On their website, they show like CBs. If you go in there, they had CBs on the shelf.
Yeah.
That's fun.
They're all clearly unit and president stuff.
Oh, yeah,
but that's fine. So,
but it's one of those that like they actually have radios at RadioShack. I just thought it's one of those things that it sounds cliche, but at the end of RadioShack's life as the Tandy Corporation or whatever it was, when they failed originally, they had like you could go in there and you could find some radios, but most of the stuff they had were like not radio.
One of these days we're going to do a video on the price of new Citizens Band radios because it's ridiculous. I've never understood why they cost so much because this is typical of anywhere online.
That's not horrible though. I mean, it's not
for a 4-watt radio.
Well,
that's what I think. It doesn't comparatively for what you can get in amateur radio. These prices are psychotic.
Can one buy a amateur radio from RadioShack?
Not yet. I would imagine they probably will.
I always imagine because of the age I am. When I went to RadioShack, they always had a 2-meter ham radio section.
Yep.
That was not always the case.
No, it was not.
It really was not. That was more of a 1990s thing.
That was
because if you even look at the catalogs and RadioShack catalogs, you won't see ham radio stuff appear until about 1994, 95.
Wow. The 10-meter, the 10-meter mobiles existed in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had some stuff back in the 60s, but
they had receivers too a lot. They through about the whole period.
Yeah. But the 2-meter stuff that did not come about until the 80s.
No.
I would, if someone from RadioShack does happen to actually watch this, shoot us information as to what you're playing because we honestly love RadioShack. We really do.
We will likely be one of your greatest champions. Already are, I think, by default.
Yeah, I mean, it's like literally, I have TRS-80s, and not just 1 or 2 or 4.
Sure.
Don't ask, but it's like, but it's one of those that it would be neat to see them bring out. But they brought out some electronics.
I'm just in love with the fact that they've brought kits back, and some of them are even branded RadioShack. So
I mean, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that
they have a build a drone kit for $50. Geez, I might buy that. That's probably for kids, but I like that. That's cool.
You can buy it right now.
I could. I better save my pennies. Do you hear that echo? What is that sound?
Oh, sorry. I'll turn that off.
Huh? I couldn't tell if he was being serious or not. He wasn't.
It was a joke. We were playing in.
Yeah. Caught me.
Anywho.
I hear sounds from the sounds like padded rooms, people bouncing around.
I hear some yelling.
Angry. Some are real happy and real excited. Some are just mad that we exist.
Yeah,
my kids are at home. They're fine.
It's time for Echoes from the Asylum. That segment of the show where we read your input on our videos.
Who are we hearing from this week?
We're going to hear from John Alexander Barry, who is publicly subscribed to us. Thank you, John. We appreciate that.
Hi, John Alexander Barry.
That means that it'll show on his channel that we're on there. So, the more paths in, the better. He commented on our TYT TH9000D 222 megahertz video from recently.
Okay.
And he's commenting on the part in the section where I never, ever got the repeater offset set in that radio, and I never did. I could not figure out how to do it.
Oh,
because the manual tells you how, and it's clearly not correct, the manual itself. I I haven't yet researched online how to do it because in my head I'm going to get a data cable and use the open source Chirp software to program it like you can bail things because that's going to be a whirl of a lot easier. John writes, yep, I had exactly the same problem trying to set the repeater offset. It just didn't work as the manual said it should. So in the end, I just gave up on setting the offset and direction plus or minus and transmitted directly on the repeater input frequency.
There you go.
Hey, that's the backdoor way to do it. That got me into the repeater okay, but I had to use another rig connected to a different outside antenna tuned to the output frequency of the repeater so I could hear what was going on. The instructions in quotes, in the user's manual are a total disgrace, especially the bit about the repeater offset direction frequency. TYT and their sister brand Redivus should totally be ashamed of themselves for producing such a useless user's manual. Yes!
Why you talk about our user manual?
It work in China!
Well,
I'm going to use that line every chance I get now.
Oh, God. So I think what happens... Not to excuse it because they're
there's no actual human being writing that.
Well,
so that manual was written in Chinese and then ran through a translation.
This is a heinous error. It's almost like it's for a different firmware of the radio, and it may be.
And it might work.
It could, yeah.
What else we got? Here we got Chi-Town or Chi-Town 57. Kind of a lengthy comment, but I thought it was good, so we included it. This is on our video from quite a long time ago called What Was Before the Web, the BBS scene, showing off a Telnet Synchronet BBS.
Well, your favorite episodes?
Fond thing I'm very fond of. I've run this bulletin board system since 2008, and I logged into them beginning in the mid-90s, so I'm a weirdo trying to keep it alive.
It inspired me to set one up for like all of, 3 weeks?
Yes, and speaking of inspiration, this fellow writes, I ran my first BBS as co-sysop of the Hackers Anonymous BBS. They all had such good names. That was running on an IBM AT with two ST225 20 megabyte hard drives on the U of L campus.
I had one of those.
Or the U of I campus in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois around 86.
University of Illinois. Yep.
Yeah. Sysop at the time was a grad student at the university. He split and sent me a FIDO message that he got a job with Johnson's Wax as a chemist and was already out of the area. The BBS was running FidoNet BBS at the time, and I was able to readjust things remote as I was 15 miles north on Chanute Air Force Base. Hopefully I said that right. So that I was the sysop, then backed up the BBS over the modem, then uploaded Maximus BBS, set it up, and modified the auto exec for the system. Still remote, by the way. That's quite a feat, honestly. Then used a reboot program to force the AT to boot and come up in Maximus. I figured I would have to go to the campus and fix things, but it actually worked. At the same time, I started my own BBS out of the base housing on Chanute called the Midwest Soft Source BBS that was also on FidoNet and FidoMail. I only ran that for about a year as the phone bill was a killer then. In 92, the caretaker that had control of the AT for the Hackers Anon asked me if I wanted the AT and peripherals. I drove down and got it all, including the USR modem, intending to set it up with a new name out of base housing, but then the announcement came that the base would close in the fall of 93, so I held on to it. I got orders to Wichita and was going to set up the HA BBS renamed, but by then a BBS on a 286 was a pain. Fair enough. I picked up a used 386 or 486, put PC board on it, or Pro board on it. I read that as PC board because I've heard of that more. I know my BBS stuff usually. And set up a BBS in Wichita, though I forget the name I gave it. Ran it for 2 years. We were in Wichita, and when I retired in 96 to Backwoods, Kentucky, I put the BBS on a newer machine as the Blue Moon of Kentucky BBS.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice. But it didn't see much traffic, so I killed that sometime in 1997. That was the last BBS I ran, but thinking about using one of the Xeon servers I have to put up a Synchronet BBS on Telnet and possibly one dial-in if I can get VoIP to work with the modem. I have dozens of modem cards and externals.
Nice.
That's why I made that video.
Very cool.
The BBS scene was a big deal to people who are involved because it's a lot of fun. And it was, wow, I've set up a computer system that you can remote to or dial into in this case, and people could send mail, pre-internet. And, that's a pretty common story to, one last a few years and all the owners change hands. Or I knew of one board that was being kept alive after the guy died, that's still in the scene. Yeah, like his friends volunteered, they keep it alive for him. So,
wow. That's pretty neat.
We need to do more BBS videos. I have ideas, but I wasn't ever sure that it really fit our viewer base. So
Well, and see, fortunately now we have access to a symmetrical gig internet.
We do.
Yeah.
But I actually run the backwood realm BBS out of my house still, so it's run over Comcast. So.
But you don't have to go far to get that.
Oh, no.
That'll run on a VM.
Oh, absolutely. I actually ran mine on VM originally back in 2008, so yeah. I was actually
one of the
able
guys
to.
who has to okay it. Two of the guys are here. 3 of the guys are here, maybe. I don't know.
And then the other guy's like, sure, do it. That's basically what
he'd be
happens.
like, can we do that? That'd be fun.
Yeah. So thanks for that comment. That's a good one. He made another comment as a reply we'll feature later. He kind of got encouraged to try to start one. I don't know if he did. This comment's from about a month back, so we'll have to check in with him.
neat.
So
I think the one's neat that the guy's friends are keeping it alive after he passed away.
yeah, that is neat. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find that and put it in the video here. If
I
it's
die,
still around, that's some years ago.
If I die,
so.
will you guys keep time and temperature going?
Yeah, I don't care. Sure, why not? What's the number to your time and temperature? You care if the viewers call it?
I don't care.
He'll drop it out there. Justin's got on the project he's built. One of these days, maybe he'll make a video clip for us or something.
I need to.
So
It's 812-896-TIME.
he built that. He spent a lot of time researching and putting that thing together, and even ordered voice clips from a professional voice artist to air on it. So yeah,
I did.
Put
Yes,
a lot of effort into that thing. So.
Or you can call 812-992-TIME and hear a
Your time.
recreation of an old kind of recording that you would have heard back in the day. So
nice.
it was from an old. It was actually recorded from an Autocron machine, which was the go-to machine for that kind of service.
Oh
back
wow,
then.
Yep.
That's really neat. Well, that's been Echoes from the Asylum for this episode. That brings us to. I think I'm getting seasick. It's getting a little wavy in here.
Yeah. Ooh.
It's time for Welcome to the Waves. Oh, yeah. It's not on the laptop. It's time for Welcome to the Waves, that part of the show where we congratulate a new ham on his entry to the awesome hobby of amateur radio. Amateur radio.
Amateur.
You know.
Radio.
Who are we welcoming this week?
We're welcoming Joshua Rogers, KF0GDR, from Thayer, Missouri. He's a technician, recently licensed. So welcome to the hobby. Enjoy it.
Welcome.
Remember, it's a license to learn.
And spend money.
That's right.
And have fun.
That's right.
You don't have to spend a lot of money, though.
No.
Not to get started.
You can borrow stuff, too, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I think that about covers us for this week, fellers.
All right.
Till
All
next
right.
time, I'm Timmy.
I'm Justin.
I'm Nathan.
And this is 3 Old Tech Dudes.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on 3 Old Tech Dudes. Please subscribe to us here on YouTube for more tech old and new, tinkering at the workbench, repairs, ham radio, electronics, computers, and more. Please like this video and share 3OTD with your friends to help us grow the channel. We tweet at 3 Old Tech Dudes 1 on Twitter, and you can keep up with us on Facebook. Just search for 3OTD and look for our logo. Thanks so much for watching.